Okay. So first, before we get into it, just wanted to introduce ourselves and whatnot. So I am Rachel, sometimes Beetlejuice on occasion, dog whisperer, website wizard, portfolio aficionado, and currently living in Colorado. Those are my links there if you guys want to chat with me. Very into Halloween, very excited about it. This was my costume from a couple years ago. And I this year, last weekend was Avril Lavigne, so that broke my streak of being a man for the past 5 years or so. I think I was Beetlejuice, Kurt Cobain. I was one of the guys from Wayne's World, something else, but yeah, it feels nice to be feminine again. So I'm going to pass it over to Brandy.
Hello, I'm Brandy. I am always mad, and this one time I was the Mad Hatter. This wasn't actually for Halloween. This was for a Alice in Wonderland themed volunteer appreciation event for raising money for the military family resource where I was living at the time. And I was on the marketing committee and did a whole bunch of stuff, and of course had to bring out my Mad Hatter. I speak rabbit. Truly, they have a very specific way of communicating that isn't quite like cats or dogs. And after many decades of owning a rabbit, a house bunny that lives inside the house with us and just chills like a cat or dog, I know precisely when she's happy, sad, mad, grumpy, or territorial and things like that. So, and I am a word dancer, which is more or less what my husband and partner calls me when he sends me things and is like, make this better, and occasionally peers. And now I make a profession out of that. I'm a lawless lexicologist, which means I have absolutely no degree or background in this, but I love to study words, where they come from, why people use them in a specific way, what order they go in, just like eat, breathe, and sleep word stuff. And I'm currently an Ontarian. I'm also originally an Ontarian, but I go where the military sends me and my partner. And yeah, those are my links below. And that's that, Rachel.
Fun fact, I just learned what the sick thing in brackets means, in articles. Did you guys know what that means?
So yes, but I can't explain it right now.
You can't explain it right now?
No.
So I don't know if you guys have ever seen when you're reading an article or a blog or something, it has the brackets around the word sick, like SIC. I'd always seen that and I was just whatever, just kind of glossed over it. I finally looked it up the other day, and it's basically when somebody says something weird or slang or something, they put the sick after it to say we're quoting this exactly as the person said it, is how I understand it. Is that correct?
I think so. What you're giving is a better example of why people use it, but some people will use it, which I don't like. And I think it's also come out of fashion when they're say you said something that was just grammatically terrible and I didn't want, a portfolio would be a great example. If you get a review from somebody, a testimonial that is a good testimonial and says good things about you, but the grammar structure is awful, you can put that in there with the sick beside it. But a lot of people, like you said, don't really know what it is and don't really pay attention. So it's just kind of drawing attention to it. So it's often better to edit the grammar a little bit and put that part in square brackets and make note of it if it's significant.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Just throwing that
more
tidbit
trouble
in there
you can
because I
get
thought
in
it
there.
was cool. Okay, so now what we're going to actually be doing today, these are just kind of high level guidelines for what we're going to be using to critique you guys. So pretty standard stuff. From my end, I'll be focusing more on the visuals, the layout, the structure of the pages, and then from a web standpoint, the kind of flow and strategy of the page and call to actions and things like that, because that's kind of how my brain works. And then Brandy will be focusing more on the copy, the messaging, the, I guess, overall writing kind of strategy. Is there anything else I missed?
No, that's pretty much it. And like I think we'll also be doing a little bit of back and forth, because as we've discovered from living life and working together, like there's no one right answer about which way a certain thing should be, or like breaking the rules, because there's a lot of copy rules that say do it this way, and then there's a lot of design rules that say no, do it that way. And because of that, we just kind of do a little bit of both. Fuck everybody else.
Yeah, and that's like the
So we'll
chicken,
talk about that too.
the chicken or the egg situation. It's like, what comes first, copy or design? What's more important, copy or design? And it's like, like they're the same, but not like. So yeah, we'll get into that. And thanks, Maura, for being brave and submitting your website in the chat. So we're going to be reviewing for Will, Marisol, and Maura, unless anyone else is brave enough to submit. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull some of those up. Let's start with Will, our first victim. So this is the first time that we're looking at any of these sites. So this is just our honest, like, first reaction to everything, just for the record. So I'm just going to kind of scroll through. Brandy, feel free to like chime in or interrupt or tell me to stop at any point. It's pretty cool. Neat hover effects. I don't know what to click on first. There's like so much eye candy. I'm just going to click on some of these. Let's go with this Dungeons and Dragons thing. So mainly like what we're going to be critiquing today is like the actual projects or like case study layouts, but also just kind of like the website as a whole, but focusing on the portfolio projects. So first thing I'm going to say is lack of copy. I mean, obviously, very strong visuals, nice mock-ups, nice photos. I do like the layout of the visuals, kind of switching from like multiple columns to single column, like full width. That nice variety of stuff there. But I would like to see for sure some more context, maybe some little blurbs for each image or like each section, kind of talking about what you specifically did and like what each of these things are, because I know they probably seem very obvious to you what they are, but not from an outside perspective. And even some of these, like, I'm assuming this is like a Twitch background. It would be cool to see this
in the project info.
Where's that? Up here.
Oh,
okay.
I see. Okay.
So this is kind of like an overview of the project, which is definitely good to have. Brandy, do you have any thoughts?
I'm just reading along.
Okay. I like the option to switch from black and white to dark mode, everything.
Awesome. So the first thing I would say about the copy is I'm still unclear who exactly you're talking to, because it kind of shifts tone from like a listing of what the project is and stating it all, and then at the bottom stating like, here's our deliverables, which is good, but not knowing precisely who it's going to or who you're trying to bring in from this can make that difficult. One thing I always find hard to do in writing these as well as reading them is making sure that there's enough of your voice that doesn't make it sound clinical, because it can be far too easy with case studies to just be like, go straight across the board and be like, these were the deliverables and we succeeded in accomplishing their goal, which is not necessarily what you do here, but just I don't see anything that really draws me and says like, okay, I really, really want to see this. Because it kind of just lists like a rap sheet.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I also like to just break out text more so it's not so many paragraphs lumped together, because maybe this is just my ADHD speaking, but I see like a page with text like this and I'm like, oh, not interested. Like I might just skim it real quick. But I think it helps if you can like bullet point things out, especially like deliverables or
Yeah.
services or
And
things
like
like
that
that.
information is really important, but putting it in the body does make it more work to read. And
Mhm.
people read, but we don't read things that feel like work.
Yeah. And it also helps, like, as someone's navigating through your portfolio, like thinking about hiring you, if they're seeing those same keywords over and over again, like whether it's specific deliverables like social media graphics, or if it's just a service like branding or something like that, they're going to keep seeing that over and over again. And then they're going to understand how they can hire you versus this might seem a little bit vague, but you're kind of like teaching them, if that makes sense, throughout.
Yeah. I like I like people that have been doing tags or like a hashtag for it is, or even just like a visual tag, and it'd be like tagged branding, tagged copywriting, or whatever, all the things that are in there. If they don't like the idea of a bulleted list, because that can visually be, okay, we did this, we did that. I did some strategy work for some game designers a while back, and that's how they ended up doing it, is they actually had like a cute little icon beside whatever type of work it was. And then they also made like the Notion, the little Notion avatars, they made and augmented ones of themselves, because there are three, it's a co-op of three people. So sometimes they work together and sometimes they work solo and sometimes they work with outside people. So they had their own little tag to be like, okay, Allison worked on this one and Squinky worked on this one, but not Jess and vice versa. So
Oh, that's
that's
cool.
another cool aside if you have regular collaborators that you work with.
Yeah, and that's another great point, is like looking at a project like this, especially if I'm just looking at the visuals, I'm gonna assume that you did everything that you're showing, when maybe it was a collaborative project where somebody did part of the designs or had the ideas or whatever. Like it's kind of nice to put text throughout so that you can kind of explain, like, I worked on this and I came up with this idea, da da da, whatever, just to give it a little bit more context. Two questions. One, I'm curious why you decided to put the project info up here at the top. I'm assuming it's just to make this more clean and just have visuals without text mixed in, but I feel like it's not the most intuitive thing in the world to know to click on that for more information. So I'm curious about that, and also who your target audience would be, like your dream client, or like who do you want to be looking at your portfolio? If you have a second to answer in the chat, it'll give us a little bit more context.
You may speak, we permit it.
Let me see if I can let you.
Okay, I
Hello.
lied. Rachel has to permit it.
So there's answers to all that. That doesn't mean what you're saying isn't right. So I'm full-time design faculty now. So my clients are just like secondary. I'm not really trying to attract anyone unless they see my work and they want to work with me. It's more about showing exploration, experimentation, and research rather than commercial selling, if that makes sense. So what I'm attempting to do with my website right now was inspired by like trying to take metaphors and creating experiences through metaphors than one-to-one recreations. So like when you walk into a museum or a gallery, you're confronted with like a room full of items, which would be like the landing page. And then when you see an item that you're really attracted to, an object that you want to like see closer, you would walk up to it and enter to that space of that object where you see all the details of it. So when you click on one of these, you go and see all the details. And then if you really enjoy what you're looking at and you want to learn more, you move to the second stage of the placard next to it. So like there's a staged approach to seeing work through the gallery perspective that's trying to be like kind of recreated here. And there's this idea of trying to reward the user's exploration. But again, it doesn't, everything you're saying is right. At this point, I'm like, the thing I'm thinking is like, do I really care about usability more than the experience of something weird and different? And I don't know yet.
No, that makes total sense. And that's actually a really interesting perspective and a good point that
I was
like,
gonna say that's really cool.
yeah,
You should say that. You should totally say somewhere at the top, like put yourself a nice little header that says, you know, welcome to my gallery, like mosey around or something. Because knowing that you're not trying to bring in people, there are people out there that just want to like, oh, what's Will up to? Or, oh, I heard about this guy. I want to see what's going on. And isn't to a purpose. And you don't want to add like a fake purpose or a fake client on top of it.
Sure.
As far as writing the copy then in your descriptions, I would still just suggest making it less clinical and even more casual.
No, yeah, I think that
because
makes total sense.
Because then it will be, because you're still writing like somebody that is talking to a faculty member or another like professor type thing, which is honestly the default for anyone that writes anything on behalf of themselves. That's our default. I think it was trained into us in school, particularly if you went on to any sort of post-secondary that wasn't a trade. I feel like first year they just take every fun thing out of your writing and infuse it with big words and like clinical academic speak, and it's really hard to kick. It's very hard to habit to get out of.
No, yeah, I think everything you just said makes total sense. The last thing, just, and I guess I shouldn't be hand-holding, right, or even telling you what to do on my website, but the black and white works, but so does the little confetti popper, which means way more. And it like does this random color generator. So if you like scroll down, it also starts to interact with the work, like recoloring, remapping stuff to add that secondary level of like rewarding exploration and fun and weirdness.
yeah, that's really cool.
I want you to create something meta because apparently I'm telling you what to do now.
Yeah, let's hear it. That's what you guys are here for, right?
I need you to create a case study on this case study / website. Like I need
have a website in my website.
I need you to have one where you can click on it and it's just like inside, and then it talks exactly what you're saying to us now. That's just discussing why you did this and then the experience, and then just like a screen cap of the confetti versus the other one, because it's definitely it definitely serves the purpose in being unique, which is partially why it makes it hard to like categorize or critique, because it's not trying to be like get me work, get me employment.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's interesting to think of it in the more
No, Marisol,
like
don't.
art.
Will's weird. Ignore Will.
Will's definitely weird. Yeah, it's hard, right? It's like half of art is like the proverbial like giving the finger to the audience.
Yeah. And then that's the opposite of like UX, UI
right.
design.
So I'm trying to figure out like how tall can my middle finger be while still also encouraging someone to like keep clicking, right? Like how high can that barrier be before someone just gives up? It might be too high right now. I might want too much from users. On the other side, like maybe I just don't care.
That's the other thing too. Is like, do you want to exclude those type of people who aren't on board with it?
Right, who aren't looking at it for that experimental, non-corporate, anti-agenda. I don't know. Yeah.
But I agree with what Brandy said. And I've even thought about doing this on my own portfolio, because Brandy and I like have worked on it somewhat together, like
Sure.
helping me with brand messaging and whatnot to do a case study like on myself to say like, I know it's very hard to make a portfolio, and like, here's been my experience on building my own and kind of like my thought process behind it, I think is like even more interesting than seeing a client project or something that you did.
Like, should I show all my super corporate portfolios that led to this too?
Yeah,
Like, here's
that'd
what
be
I
awesome.
did have.
But I think it would be cool to have like a video too of you like talking about it or
Explaining
even
it.
walking through the site, because that reminds me of like when you go into a gallery and sometimes they have that like TV
Yeah.
set up with the
Yeah, yeah.
artists like talking about their process and stuff like that. I think that could be really cool.
I do need more UI examples too, so this could help that.
But yeah, I mean, I know we've been like nitpicking everything here, but it
No,
looks
please.
really awesome.
Nitpick, that's what we're here for. I'm gonna mute myself so we go back to what you guys had planned. Bye.
I feel like we should rip the bandage off for Marisol before she gets more anxious.
Okay. Let's switch gears. Thanks, Will, for submitting. Your portfolio looks awesome. We're literally just like nitpicking at this point, but I really like it. Let me find the link. Here we go. All right, Marisol. I don't know what you're talking about because I've been to your site before and I think it looks great. It's just different. You know, everyone has a different style, different ideas that they're going for. So
Oh, the Lojo magic. I'm in love with that.
Lots of text, which is good. Call to actions. I like how the text hierarchy is spread out. So you have a easy headline, little short kind of subheading, and then a call to action for each section, which is awesome. All right, I'm gonna dive in to something else.
I'm just going to open up and glance over at the copy in another window so you can click around and not have to worry about me not being able to read.
Sweet. Pick this one. Oh, so this is going directly to their site. So I'm curious, are all of them like this? Yeah, it looks like they all link out. I mean, I know like from a personal perspective, it's much easier to just upload an image and link out to the site, especially because I also do websites. It's pretty much the easiest, fastest way to get a portfolio up. So I definitely understand that. But one thing I would suggest is having these open in a new window if you're going to do that, because it just immediately redirects from your site. And also a lot of the stuff that we were saying for Will's portfolio, I imagine is going to apply to pretty much everybody, myself included. But just having some more context about what you did, like when I go here, I'm going to automatically assume like, oh, you designed it and developed this site and built it. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it would be interesting to know, like, even to not, if you don't want to build these out into like full projects or case studies, just having like a little bit more text underneath here that's maybe like the services you offered or deliverables, or just like a quick, maybe short paragraph synopsis of the project or something like that, just to give it a tiny bit more context without a whole lot more work, I think would be helpful. Brandy, do you have any thoughts yet?
Are they fully formed? No. So the first thing I'm noticing when I'm clicking is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have yet to see an individual thing that talks about a case study or anything. Like there's just the visual examples. There's no context written other than on the main page. Am I correct?
Yeah, I don't see anything either.
So that would be the first copy mention, is that there isn't one. And then the other part would be to, in general, narrow down the focus. I like to have, for people that are just like, I want to have everything on there, and I understand that to an extent, particularly when you're still like trying to cast a wide net, is to kind of have like a dump pile of all of the things, but then have like a case study tab specifically, and then just pick your favorite projects. Even if it's just like, if you do multiple things, then picking one case study for websites, one case study for branding, one case study for either logos or social media. And that is less daunting than having to do like a thing for everyone, because if you look at all the projects and like, oh my gosh, I never took notes during this one. It's so long. I didn't like this one. The client picked the logo I hated the most, that sort of stuff makes it a lot harder to get started. I say that as someone who has a very hard time doing her own work instead of telling other people to do theirs. Yeah, I know that it's hard to make this stuff up in hindsight, but something I've done in the past is gone either DM or email mining. If you record your videos, then great, going back through those to see like things that the client has said along the way, to interject throughout your case study, and just anything that you have for context on things like, oh, like it's great that this, or I loved working for you about this, because it's not just about the final product. When you're talking about these things and you're writing the copy for it, you want to relay how it is to work with you and things that are different about the way you work. So it might be something that is a red flag for somebody else, but would be great for you. For instance, I have a client right now who has like a number of stuff going on in her life, and like just everything under the sun has gone wrong for her. So one of the things that she loves most about working with me is just the flexibility. Like the project's kind of dragged on for way longer than we want, but she very much feels like it'll get done in the right time at the right pace. And she gives me space to do that when things get backed up, but she also has the space to do that herself. Where another client could be very, very like, I wanted it yesterday. I was not available to you yesterday, but you should have gotten it to me yesterday anyway. So like having those things interspersed throughout the case study that show how you work or how you like to work, and focusing on the ones that you want to have more of again. I guess an example from working with Rachel is that by working together on things, we've finally given ourselves permission to stop saying corporate-y things and to start writing like how we actually operate and how we actually think in our website, and like get rid of all that other stuff. And one of my favorite things was after I had delivered her copy, I think it was last fall, she'd done a little website update into the winter and into the spring, I think. And I was looking at it, I was like, I wrote some of that, but not all of that. And it sounds like I had written it. And she's like, yeah, I changed this part, or like I added this, this, and this. And I was like, you've got it. She's like, well, once you did it, like once you set the tone, I was able to write in that tone, in that way, using my words. And I think there was another thing where someone had mentioned to you, Rachel, that they thought it was you. And you're like, it is, and it's not. So being able to have that tone relayed that doesn't make it, again, like Will's, clinical is helpful. I'm gonna stop rambling now. I've lost sight of the point.
No, I think all that was like incredibly valuable for not just Marisol, but everybody. Like, and I think both of us were like sharing a body or a brain at some point after we like met and did some like higher level like brand strategy, brand messaging,
it's like
sort of
method
stuff.
acting.
Yeah. So like I was kind of trying to convey like what I wanted to go for, like showcasing my personality, but still seeming like professional and still trying to target the people that I wanted to target. And then Brandy was able to like actually regurgitate that into words that made sense, unlike what I was trying to do. So then once she had that built out, I was able to just add on to it. And I felt like I had a strong foundation to work on. So anyway, point is, I highly recommend, if you can, to hire somebody, especially Brandy, to help you just like get out of your own head, especially with the case studies. Like it helps for your overall website copy or brand copy in general, but for the case studies, I feel like it's really helpful. So I work with a lot of clients on portfolio websites, and they basically just like, they send me their visuals or whatever they have for their portfolio, and then we like sit down and talk about it, and they kind of just brain dump all of the stuff that they did for their projects, and then I can help them structure it, give some hierarchy to it, and then help them write blurbs for kind of each section of their project. And I feel like it's helpful to just like have someone else to bounce ideas off of, and so you're not stuck in like the endless loop with yourself, because I do this myself where I'm like, oh, should I show this mock-up or that mock-up, and then what do I say about it, and like how do I organize the layout on the page, and then I'm then thinking about design and copy and everything like all at the same time, and it's a lot. So highly recommend having somebody help you if you can.
Even even if you're just butting up with somebody else and you're not at the like hire out stage, it's
Yeah.
super helpful for that. I would also say that like the one that we'd shown of Will's copy, even though there's some things that he could like break out to be less like less long in terms of paragraphs, if you broke out like the deliverables and things like that, that's about the length of a case study, to be honest. That one that you're not going super deep dive on, there's not a ton of words, it's just like giving the context interspersed with your visuals. So there'll be a short paragraph here, a short paragraph there, and like it's kind of like a funnel in that at the top you're saying the most important things, and then you're getting narrow and narrow and narrow. So if somebody wants to like jump out in the middle because this isn't relevant to them, or they've already decided to book you, then they can jump out. But as you get further down, just think about it as getting more and more nerdy, like getting further and further into like the deep cut about the project.
I really like this page, and I like just kind of subtle like animations, interactive pieces is nice, gives it a little bit of flavor, and all the mock-ups look really great.
And like honestly, I like these could easily be the landing page for the beginning of a case study, because the copy on here is amazing.
Yeah, I was going to mention that earlier. Like the copy on the home page is really solid, but I want to see that carried like throughout the rest of the website.
Any questions?
Yeah, if you have any questions or anything specific that you would like us to look at, or also if you want to either put it in the chat or unmute, it's up to you. If you could tell us like who you're trying to target
So
specifically.
yeah, so when I started doing this, of course I started strong, like you say, like in the homepage, I was like, yes, perfect. And then everything else was like, I just need a job. I need to have a website.
I feel that in my soul.
So it was like, okay, just put everything together. Like those websites are not even like, I need to delete all of those because they're not even real anymore, except for the one you click. But like there's a couple there that are not even live anymore. Or like that, the orange one, they ruined it. Like whoever took it over,
That's
it looks horrible now. And I definitely don't want people to think that I did that.
I know some smart people out there that have done this, and I have not done this in the past. And I, like you, have had to remove things after the fact for that very reason. Will either like if they're done on WordPress or whatever, they'll take a copy of it, or if they've done it somewhere else, they'll do screen caps of it before somebody breaks it. So you can have
Yeah,
it
and I
if
should
you
have
need
done
it.
that.
That's what
Learn
I've
from
been
our
trying to do
mistakes.
lately.
It's hard to
Check
remember
out
in the time of. We should make
Yeah.
ourselves some checklists.
I started doing that when I get a new client. I was gonna say Wayback Machine also. I
Yeah.
screenshot their old site, like every page if I can. And then that way I can do before and afters in my portfolio too. But yeah, you have to remember to do that. But also Wayback Machine, sometimes it's a little bit janky, but for the most part it works. So if you guys aren't familiar, you can go to archive.org/web.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
And so
That's so 2000s.
It works for like more static sites, but any sites that have animations or like interactive elements, they get kind of janky. But yeah, it's a good resource to have, especially if you want a before of the client's old site is nice to have.
So what I was gonna ask, like you mentioned that the homepage could be a nice like landing page for the case study. So I should put like maybe that links to a specific website, and I'll showcase everything I did and my way of thinking. Same thing for branding and so on. Is that more or less like what you were suggesting?
Brandy.
I think so. Sorry, you were saying about parsing out those into individual pages?
Yeah, like you said that this could be a good landing page to case studies.
Yes.
So
So like if you were clicking on the say you click on the branding one and it went to either a page that is has multiple case studies on branding, or right now if it just like links to a page and then it's got branding and then it's just got one featured, even if you just get one out for branding right now, and then you could have like pictures of the other ones but not a case study on them, just anything to get like one go through of what it's like to do a branding project with you.
okay, yeah,
Because
so
the
you can.
images are amazing, but I know nothing about what it's like to work with you and how you got from nothing for them or an old one if it was a rebrand to the end. So you're
Okay.
still like, we're still kind of looking at pretty pictures, which a lot of clients are like, sweet, awesome, on board. But still there's a lot of people that are confused about the process, and it's just somehow reassuring to be able to read through, oh, okay, this is what this was what it was like. Oh, this person got this out of it, they got that out of it, that's how they worked with them. You know, they met in the middle, they were trying to achieve this goal, that sort of stuff.
Awesome. Okay. Okay, yeah. Now I can picture it a little bit better.
Yeah, I think even just like a short like process sort of section that's like, here's what I do, like strategy, whatever, mood boards, concepts, design, whatever, like something like that outlined would be helpful. Or even like what happens in branding, like what are the deliverables that they're actually going to get, like is
Mhm.
it logo, colors, fonts, social graphics, whatever, like just kind of listing out some of that stuff so people can understand it a little bit better, since I'm assuming the people that are hiring you are not going to be designers or creative people, so they need a little bit of help in hand holding and understanding like what branding is. On that topic, do you have like a niche or like a target like client that you're going for, or is it just kind of general right now?
Actually, that's why I started with the whole magic stuff, because I wanted to focus on like spiritual people, kind of like hippie LA kind of people, because I have had several clients like that and they like what I do, and I actually don't have any of those projects in there. So like I have the color palette and the spirit of it, but I don't have any of those projects because I needed this website for a job. So I don't know if I should do like a different, a different body for the specific target that I want, because I do want like, spiritual coaches, yoga teachers, I don't know, tarot card readers, stuff like that.
Mhm. No, that
So
makes
I
sense. I definitely get that vibe from your branding and this first page. Um, I would definitely, if you are, especially if you already have those projects done, definitely put them on here, and maybe even only put those on
Mhm.
here, especially if you're going to build them out into case studies. And I mean, less is more. Like I try to get my clients to start with like 3 like fully built out case studies and just start with that and then add on to it later. But I think if you have those like really targeted examples, it's better to have those on here instead of just a bunch of general stuff. But then, like Brandy said earlier, I also think it's interesting to have kind of like a dump page. So, like on my site, I have a design dump that's literally
Mhm.
just like random graphics and stuff that I've made over the last couple years, and I just dump them all into like a gallery on one page. So that way, if somebody's like, what do you do, or like what are you capable of, or whatever, I can just be like, here's everything. Or if you want specific examples for, if like a yoga teacher comes up to you, then you can send her directly to that page that's about like a yoga case study, or maybe even services specifically for yoga teachers or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Uh,
And I guess I was gonna ask, but should you think I should keep one, like a copy of it or something? Because I'm still like open to regular jobs. You know, I work for an advertising agency, and if they see all that like woo-woo stuff, they're not gonna be like, oh, we're gonna hire her. She's great for corporate. So I don't know if I should do like a more corporate one where I keep all this stuff and then one focused on the holistic
the
market, I
advice
guess.
the advice from the copy perspective would be that you're supposed to have one page, one message, and like one audience. So having a completely different audience and adding in that writing stuff here will be very confusing.
Okay.
So it's annoying. I know it's very annoying. I also struggle with this all the time. Like, do I keep a 2 marks page? Do I keep one that's just Brandy Wright? Do I keep it 2 marks? And eventually I've had to decide, like, okay, I'm going to do both separately. I currently do not have that problem because I am all entrepreneur right now. But when I was doing both, it was just like, okay, there has to be a me page that lists all skills and things like that. And then there has to be a niched one.
Okay, cool. Got it.
Yeah, and what Will said too, he got bored managing both, so like it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. So kind of also just do the one that serves you at the time for what you need, because
Yeah, I think that's
there's
the
no right way to do it. Just do whatever is serving you. Okay, I need a job right now. This is a dump pile. Okay, I want specific clients. Okay, I'm not dumping here anymore. I'm cleaning it up. I'm making it just about spiritual practices and woo-woo funness and magic and things like that. And like people will flock to that and won't have to worry about like tax websites because it's not there.
Yeah, and I
that's just
think
gonna be my new what's it called? The internal battle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
I don't know that ever goes away.
yeah, that's a regular struggle for me because I have a lot of clients who are in like healthcare and like more corporate sort of things, and I'm like, well, I don't want to go like full in weirdo shit and like scare them off, but yeah, I struggle with that all the time too. But I think it's fine to have like landing pages for different things too. So like even pages that are like hidden, if you want to go like full woo-woo on your
Yes,
site, and then
this
have
is
like
something I did for a while too. It would be like, Rachel Zampio / and then it would just be like, create it like it's a sales or landing page for whatever the purpose is. And that's it. And like send that one off when that's what you need. Everything like that doesn't need a full website. So think of it like, this is my sales or landing page for professional writing jobs in the marketing field with boring corporate people.
yeah, and then if
Awesome,
you're
yeah.
applying for jobs or putting stuff on LinkedIn or whatever, you can just link directly to that instead of your normal site. And then if they stumble across your normal site, cool. If it scares them away, fuck them. That's just my opinion.
Yes, no, it's, and thankfully I'm in a point where I can't tell some people to fuck off.
That's
I'm in
good.
a good position right now. Thank
Yeah.
the universe. Speaking of woo-woos. So yeah, thank you. No, this is gonna help me a lot because I think we all do it. We overthink and we just like freeze and don't do anything.
Yes, exactly. And that's why I was saying earlier about collaborating with somebody, even if like some of you guys that are here now, if you wanted to like partner up and just help each other for free, collaborate with each other, that has made such a huge difference in my work and life. Like just collaborating with other people, especially Brandy, which when was that? Like a year and a half ago when we first started talking about my website. And
Yes.
like I would have never gotten it done if we didn't do that, because for one, I had to be accountable to Brandy because I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have the site done or whatever. And then having her to help me with the copy and some of the stuff like that I had rattling around in the back of my head that I would have never made a decision on if I didn't like talk it out with her. And
Yeah,
then
I think one of the more interesting things was when you came to me, you're like, I want to hire you to do XYZ. And it was almost exclusively writing. And then we talked it through and we're like, you know, it should be a little less writing and a little bit more strategy. And it was what I ended up doing was like a lot the long form writing that you needed for a couple projects, some full pages, more strategy, and then some small copy, which to some people would be like, you hired them to do your whole website, but they didn't do your whole website. But the strategy was more important at that time for you than getting me to write the copy for like your social media page.
Yeah, for sure. And also like borderline therapy, like just like having somebody to talk to about all the stuff in your head, like those things where you're like, I want to niche down, but I'm scared to because XYZ, whatever. And then just like talking it out, and then you feel better about it. And you're like, all right, now I can make a plan to actually move forward instead of just thinking about it and scaring myself out of doing it.
100%. A year and a half ago, people were just like, you're super corporate. I'm like, I'm really not. They're like, you appear super corporate online. I'm like, I'll fix it, I promise. We should pop over to Maura before we run out of time.
Yes.
If people can stick around, that'd be awesome. If they can't, we totally understand.
Let me find the link. Also, awesome job, Marisol. The site looks great. Again, we're just here nitpicking and trying to provide constructive feedback, but it looks awesome.
No, awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you, ladies.
Okay, now I have Maura.
I love your call to action right there. Friends.
Yes. These are really cool. This has come a very long way since the last time I saw it, like probably a year or two ago. Yeah, this is awesome. I like the blog. I like the store. Everything's pretty clear. Let me see. So I guess from what I understand, you don't really have like a traditional portfolio. It's more like a store, but kind of portfolio store combined. Yeah, these are really neat. So kind of same question we've been asking everybody, if you want to jump on or just put it in the chat of who your target audience is. I think that would help us give better feedback, because I know personally from when we talked before, last thing I heard was that you were trying to sell prints to, I think, houses that were being staged and possibly hotels. I don't know if anything has changed since then.
Hey guys, yeah,
Hey.
it's still, I'm still doing that with like I have 2 stage home companies that I work for, so none of that work is on here. This is just like my e-commerce site that I want to kind of build out over the next 2 years to like have as like a part-time job later in life.
Okay.
And so it's, I'm just kind of like trying to get content on there. My biggest question is about content was like, should I explain what my art is about on there or not? Like, do people really care, or would they rather form their own opinion? Like, that's my big dilemma, I feel like.
So would you see this as just being like regular
So,
consumers?
so my target, my demographic is so far it's been middle-aged women and men buying for their wives. Yeah.
Okay. So these are things that people would buy and like put in their own house, basically.
Yes.
Okay. I think, I mean, I don't know what your profit is off of these, but If you want to go for like the higher price points, I think explaining the artwork, it would be a good thing to do because it makes
Okay.
it feel more like a piece of
Telling a
art and not
story.
just like
Yeah.
something you're throwing out there.
Right.
So I
Oh,
think you
that
could
makes
get a
sense. I
higher,
like the way you, yeah, the way you position that. That makes sense to me. Yeah.
I would definitely also highlight the limited edition,
yes, for sure.
because that jumped out to me, but I'm also looking right now. So having that in
Okay.
a bold or some way,
Okay. Yeah.
or even, I'm not sure how all the descriptions are for everything, but that's something that you might want to have at the very, very bottom in bold. So it like,
Okay.
so people and anybody that's reading that scrolls will go right down. So it's like, okay, size, cool. Oh, this one's limited edition. It's signed, numbered, and they've got all of that detail at the bottom. And that way for ones that aren't limited edition, it just won't be there and you'll still have the same structure from top to bottom.
Okay.
On the main page where you say welcome,
Mhm.
and have the about one paragraph there, I would like to see it larger. Rachel, do you mind scrolling down so I could show other people's?
That to be more. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Having that a little bit larger.
It looks a little puny there. Yeah.
and because I see all those like in comparison to the images, it's just like, okay, I want to scroll past it because it just seems insignificant in comparison.
Yeah.
Just like a weird copy thing right off the top of my head, I would change the first sentence to there's so much to see here, and just remove the awesome art, because it's kind of like you're kind of self-qualifying it, but anybody that's here already will already think the art is awesome. You don't need to tell them that.
Okay.
They'll be like continuing to scroll because of that.
Oh, good point.
And I love that it goes from like, welcome, there's so much to see here, so take your time, look around, and like you're it's like you're talking to them, because if somebody came into your gallery, you wouldn't be like look at my awesome art. You would just start talking to them like a conversation. So if you remove that awesome art part, it's just like you're talking directly to us.
Okay, good point.
And to your point about your target and I don't think it's necessary for you to necessarily explain to people what your art is, but somewhere, and I'm not sure where because it's an e-commerce site, so I don't know structure wise. It feels like maybe at the top, but you kind of want to just jump into the work too. Is something kind of talking about that, not stating it, so not saying like, this work is for middle-aged, no, because nobody wants to read that. So just start talking like you're seeing this already in your home, staging your home for real estate, making it more comfortable for you to live in, making a space more your own, making yourself feel more at home, like the things, literally the reasons why. And then what you do to make that copy happen is you listen to your phone conversations that you're having with people. You go and reread emails from clients and see what they said, and like, if somebody has DM'd you and said, oh, I want to buy this for my wife and this is why, like, go back and look for those conversations and look for the words that they use.
Okay.
And then put those words in your copy. So a lot of the copywriting work is actually not in the writing, it's in like crafting the writing. So it's about going and the reason you need to know who your audience is because you're data mining the words that they use.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
All right. So like, where would I put something like that? Like in the welcome part, like, or
that I feel like that's a question.
or
for
like I
Rachel.
put that
Would you
intro
put it?
packet download, because I just wanted to put a download up there real quick that I could do. And so I just basically took, because a lot of times people ask me just what's already on the site, they'll just ask me questions about that, So I just made this intro packet to kind of give them the whole entire price sheet, like, and a little bit about me, that kind of thing, but maybe that's not the way to go, I guess.
I would kind of restructure really the whole site, like to make it feel more expensive and more like luxurious from like an art perspective.
Okay.
This just feels more like a traditional website, so there's nothing wrong with that, but I think you could make it feel a little bit more fancy, and kind of some of the same stuff that we were talking about for Will's site of making it feel more like an exhibition and focusing
Yeah,
on
like when you're saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, like maybe not have just a flat graphic be that background, but more have like maybe a room feature, you know, and really nice designed elite, you know, luxury room with some art in it.
Mm-hmm. And I think seeing these as just flat like PNGs or JPEGs or whatever makes them feel cheaper. So if
Yeah.
you swapped these to like where they all look the same, still in squares, but maybe like a canvas, so it makes it feel
Okay,
more
more of a
real.
canvas. Yeah, good point.
I
Yeah.
just saw, I'm racking my brain so hard right now to try to remember what website it was. If I do remember, I'll send it to you, but I just saw one a couple days ago that was like that. And I can't remember if it was for like NFTs or something, but it just made the website feel so much more like exclusive and fancy than any of the
Yeah.
other sites.
Oh, that's
So-
a great idea. Yeah.
One of my suggestions to that point would be what would be great in where you've got this background that's just that one. That shouldn't, to me, be the art. This should be a photo that you have professionally taken of someone's beautiful home with the art on the wall.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
you're not selling them the art necessarily, you're selling them I have art in my home.
Okay.
yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah,
Because
that's a good idea.
these are not designers like us that are looking for like the really cool design. They're not paying attention to that design. They're like, I want something beautiful in my home.
Yeah, and Will just said maybe even a
Yes.
photo including the artist and the art. I think some like
Context that
process.
you're a person.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I hate taking pictures, but I know I've thought
That's
about that.
fair.
I need to
Even
have-
if like I don't think you even have to have your face in it. Like it would definitely be good to have one like headshot of you somewhere, but to have like a back view of you like drawing or something. would
Okay,
be
yeah, I could
really
do that.
cool.
Yeah. All right.
And
That's
so
good, yeah.
along with that, I was thinking of like I've seen a lot of artist websites and they're all different, but they generally follow the same kind of scheme where it's like, here's their work, here's places to buy it, here's an about page, which I think could be interesting for you to build out and put some of like
And that's where you can talk about the things that
there you
you're
go.
saying, like, oh, do people want to know
This.
about my process? That's where
Yeah.
that would be.
Yeah,
Okay.
this kind of stuff could be on there so we
For
can take
people
it off
that
the
want to nerd out
homepage.
about Mora.
Yeah, pictures of you drawing and stuff, talking about your inspiration, all of this kind of stuff could be on there. Some of your background, like a bio, and
it
then
can
maybe
feel less threatening not having it on the main page.
Okay.
yeah. Plus it cleans up the main page so that
Right.
we can focus just on the artwork here and
Okay, good
maybe
point, yeah.
move some of this stuff. Like either I would like break this down into maybe like 3 posts if you want to have it on the homepage, and then have a separate like blog section up here that people can
Okay.
go to.
All right. Yeah. And it does feel like it gets heavy down there with all that. Yeah.
And I think it's all like really awesome content, but it feels like a lot when it's all lumped on the homepage, and we want them to be focusing on buying the art and not getting distracted by all the other stuff.
Okay. Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much. This is what I need because it's been just me like trying to figure stuff out. And I'm like, how do I do this? How do I do this? This is awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for being brave enough to submit. And you have some really great content here from text and visuals. So you have lots of good stuff to work with. I think it's just a matter of like rearranging it and maybe like parsing it out into different pages. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
this has really been good. Yeah, because I get stuck. I do with stuff like this, but I'm like giving myself 2 years, so I feel like I can get it done, you know, and really thought out and be ready to like be more prepared.
yeah, no, I think
Thank
it's
you so
a
much.
great start. It looks awesome.
Thank you.
So Brandy,
Did you
You
click
said-
on that? Because, oh, well, Will had put in there like that a video would be very sick, but it's like harder to produce. And I like Matthew and Sina's video is just very much goals for me.
where is it?
Right
Oh,
there.
oh yes, I've seen this. Yeah. Can you guys hear the audio? Yeah, I didn't think so. I think I have to like stop sharing, but anyway, you guys can look at it and chat. Damn you, Matthew and Zena. So organized, so put together.
Something tells
Yeah.
me is help.
I think a video would be great though, like even something that you could film yourself and put in this background section where it's just B-roll of like you like drawing, like shuffling papers around, like maybe printing something. I don't know if you ever like screen print or do anything like that, but I think that would be really cool to see as well, or even like working on the computer in Illustrator or something. Yeah, little studio of life type loop. Yes, that. Brandy, do you have anything else for Maura?
No, but I did take some notes so I can like send it out to people if they care to have the little notes if they haven't been taking them themselves.
We love little notes.
Because yeah, like Rachel said, the work is here. It's just about moving it around
Mhm.
and then filling in a couple blanks, Mad Lib style.
Yeah, and I would just look at like, I don't know if you have some favorite artists or just even go to the awards website. Like this is a rabbit hole, by the way, so don't go here if you need to get shit done today. But award, oh, apparently I didn't do that right. Is that not what I just typed? Awards.com with 3 W's. And you could search like artist sites or gallery sites or something like that and just kind of see how they have it structured. And I think that would help a lot in just making it feel more of like a gallery sort of setup, and then having your like artist page about you, your blog or journal or whatever you want to call it, just kind of like segmenting out that stuff so that when they come to the site, they're just focused on the artwork. And then if they want to explore further into those other pages, they can, but we definitely want to keep their attention on the art. And I think, like we were talking about, highlighting the limited edition, making that way more prominent, and then signed, numbered, maybe even having your signature on here somewhere could be cool. I think makes it feel a little bit more fancy. But yeah, looks great. I think just needs to be rearranged a little bit. Okay, do we have anybody else that wants to volunteer? I think we have
We're
Jen
over.
and Marie, but
Jen is traveling, so she's just listening along.
cool. Well, thank you guys for submitting portfolios.
Yes. You're all braver than I am. And thank you for putting up with our sassy deprecating copies. It entertains me, if nobody else.
So we'll wrap up and send you guys on your way. What's next? So Brandy and I have been working on many different ideas on how we can help you guys better and have more of a kind of one-on-one, two-on-one approach with you guys to actually help you build out a portfolio and build out case studies. So we have 2 new offerings that we're working on, service offerings, not ritual sacrifice offerings. And these are the 2 that we have available right
It could
now.
be both. We could make it both.
It could be both. Maybe that would be like good luck or something. We just build a portfolio while sacrificing a goat or something. Anyways, the first option that we have is portfolio in a day, which is like a more affordable, faster approach to getting some case studies written out and prepared. And then, so we'll help with the writing process, preparing visuals and mockups and stuff like that, and then kind of hand it off to you to put into your own website if you have one, or Adobe Portfolio or Canva or whatever the heck you're using for your portfolio. You can take all that stuff, it'll be packaged up nicely for you. And then our second option is the full deal, whole website, portfolio website. So we would handle everything involved in building you an awesome website that fits your personal brand and includes the full website copy from Brandy and also help with case studies. So those are our options that we have right now. If you guys are interested, feel free to let us know in the chat and we can send you some more details on the packages that we have. Or feel free to contact us on Instagram or whatever is easier for you guys. And that is all that we have for today. I think Brandy and I will hang out here for a second. If you guys have any questions or comments or want to do any ritual sacrifices to end this workshop.